Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Dynamics Fortnite Fridays.
Where we cover everything great and small in the world of dynamics. Good afternoon, or good morning, I guess.
It is morning to me, afternoon to you. I guess it's a little of both, right?
And hopefully it's morning and evening for everyone here. Hopefully not too many evenings.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not. Well, good to see you, Max. Welcome back to the show on front of the camera instead of just being all of the producing duties.
It's nice. It's for the most part pretty much the same. There's just one additional light on my computer that's on.
And we get the benefit of seeing you and listening to you talk. Well, did you bring any dad jokes with you when you came?
Oh, of course I did. I mean, if I didn't, I would have to see myself out right now.
Right, right. Well, what do you got?
So I like to try and keep it relatively topical. So we've got Memorial Day coming up. So, what do you call a patriotic father who tells jokes?
Yeah, you got me.
A stand-up patriot.
A patriot. Aha.
I think I did pretty
Well,
good this time.
yeah, well, mine's a little punny as well. So, where do all the intense people live?
Intense.
You got it. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. Good job. All
Uh,
right. Well, let's go on. Let's go on. So, if I am gonna get us kicked off here, let's go with Power Platform news as always to kick us off. Well, first things first, I am going to say if you have not yet registered for Build, that's coming up next week, get in on it. And to kick us off, they have put together a list of sessions. And if you happen to be going in person, to go by the booth, but a list of sessions all about agents, whether they're M365 kind of SharePoint and agent builder agents, or whether they're Copilot Studio agents, that we're going to be talking a lot about how to govern them, how to manage them, how to deploy them using DevOps and good ALM processes, and how to build them both safe and reliable. So a few different things called out there. So please pay attention. There's going to be a lot of stuff talked about next week at Build related to both agentic capabilities and then Power Platform and governance and capabilities all up. I'm sure we'll get talked about as well. But in terms of other things that have recently come out, in the Power Apps space, we've made the maker experience a little better with an enhanced undo redo capability for those app makers in the Maker portal. And the big thing is we've got much more descriptive descriptions of what you have either undone or are trying to redo, so that it's clearer when looking at the list of those things that you have cut, what you might want to put back. And we've increased the capacity that you can now do up to 100 of these before they start dropping off. Before it was, I don't remember, like 20 or something. So we've kind of enhanced that quite a bit. And it's a more reliable function just to make this something that you can trust a little bit more. So all good things for app makers. Copilot Studio has made an announcement that this is not even in preview anywhere yet. I'm hoping something gets talked about at Build. We'll find out. But the agent-to-agent protocol that Google announced, we have decided we are launching support for that. And we have said we are joining into the GitHub project, and we are going to go feet first into being one of the main proponents of this A2A protocol in this agentic world. And that it will be coming soon to both AI Foundry in Azure and Copilot Studio in the Power Platform, to be able to have this orchestration of having agents talking to each other in a very seamless way be something we are supporting and making easy. So I'm just going to leave it at that, because there's really nothing anyone can go do in that quite yet. The April summary came out around Power Apps, and of course we covered even more than just Power Apps features in it. So good stuff in here. For a good overview, feel free to watch that video. If you like the Plan Designer, we've increased the box size at which you can use to get the Plan Designer started, and updated some of the pre-built prompts just to experience what's going on. So should be a little easier to get it started with the right context. That undo redo thing I just talked about is next. If you are building site actions on your Power Pages sites in VS Code, there's now the action pane, and I believe we talked about that last show. This one is actually a nice tweak that the audit settings in the security hub of Power Platform Admin Center is now fully generally available. So you used to have to go into the environment, either just in the environment management pane or into the settings area of the environment in order to go in and configure these things. But now doing it right from that security hub is nice. Git integration, nice to know that is fully generally available. I believe we talked about that last show too. I'm having trouble remembering exactly what all the topics were, but that is big for you pro code proponents. For being able to secure your Dataverse environment to only certain apps being able to access it, so a way to kind of put a hardened enclosure around certain Dataverse environments to say these are highly sensitive data and I'm only going to allow a specific whitelisted set of apps to be able to access it. And if you try to access it anyplace else, it's just going to deny you access, is now generally available. The Power Platform new admin center, nice to know that's been around for quite a while, but at least I guess it looks like it's generally available, even though there's a couple of little things that are still missing that are coming soon, I hope. And customizing the Copilot chat pane. So in the Canvas app world, this has been around for a little while. For the model-driven app world, it looks like we are now in public preview for being able to use Copilot Studio to edit the functionality of the built-in model-driven app Copilot instead of it kind of just looking at the data tables that you have put right into the app. So nice to know that you've been able to do a little more there. And then a new architecture center is here in the learn.microsoft.com area. So we got the well-architected architecture center, and that still exists. That still has awesome guidance, but there's now this separate Power Platform and Copilot Studio architecture center that's got a lot more of these kind of architecture best practice diagrams and a few other things in it. So go check out the new architecture center on Learn. COE Starter Kit, if you're using it, a bunch of bugs got fixed in the May update, so go download that and apply it to your environment. In pipelines, a couple of new things in the pipelines world, especially in the sort of SaaS version of it, where we are just hosting the pipeline stuff for you, not even in a specific environment, just kind of the pipeline hosted environment, that we've got a couple things. One is that the deployment hub in Power Platform Admin Center, I guess that also can be used from the Maker Portal, but the main thing is the deployment hub in Admin Center is now there and ready to be tested in the fully generally available format. So go use it at scale if needed. And then in preview, there is a new default pipeline rule that you can use with environment groups to allow you to put that rule at the environment group level, and that would then apply to every environment in that environment group with this same default pipeline rule, which should be awesome if you're trying to use things like automatic membership in a certain environment for all developer environments as they are created. If it will automatically put this pipeline rule in place because they're a member of that group, that will just greatly streamline what the admins have to go do, so they get to go focus on the more important, well, not less in the more thought-provoking things that they might have to do. So take advantage. For another announcement, Gong, if you use Gong's services, have announced a few different integrations with Microsoft. And the main thing powering this is that the Gong platform has built and are in the process of releasing a graph connector for their services to allow all of the Gong data to be indexed in the Microsoft graph that M365 Copilot uses, kind of the way we've got many other connectors out there to things like Salesforce and ServiceNow, that now Gong has one of those. And if you set it up, then you can ask questions of M365 Copilot and get answers that include data coming from Gong. That also lights up Copilot Studio capabilities to utilize that data because it can talk through those same graph connectors. And then inside of Gong itself, if you are using Gong in their admin center, there is now a way to connect Gong directly with Dynamics 365 Sales from within their admin center so that M365 Sales and people using the Sales app will automatically be syncing with Gong information as they're using that. So a few nice things if you happen to be a Gong customer. In Copilot Studio, one of the things that you may want to do is put together an agent that is public facing so that you want to allow the general public to be able to use it. And you may actually want to have a protected enclave where if someone is asking certain questions, it's going to force them to authenticate in order to get answers to those questions, and then other places not. And if you want them to authenticate, if you would like to use the intra B2C capability that is now, I think, called federated identity, to actually use those federated credentials in order to authenticate into the Copilot to prove who they say they are so that they can then access the protected data as someone who has authenticated in. So there is now instructions right out here that I have linked you to that allow you to set all of that up with your app registration, and you have to go then give permissions and all the other stuff, but it will allow that configuration option. So hopefully that it will be helpful to folks. Last thing, I don't think I really even need to click into, but if you are a GCC tenant holder, if you're especially like a government customer, whether you're local government, federal government, state government, that a lot of those are in GCC tenants, and even some of our highly regulated customers in other industries, that we can now allow you to deploy Power Pages CDN and WAF capabilities in GCC tenants. So for those of you using Power Pages, and they are some of our best customers in terms of adoption of Power Pages as a technology, nice to know these new protection features and performance features are available to you. All right, that's it for Power Platform news. In the customer engagement space, this is almost all related. Well, I guess it varies a little bit. So case summarization, that if you are in customer support, the case summary functionality is morphing and changing. We're making some updates to it. So it's going to show up at the top of the form to make it easier to just see. And when we do this, this is now the summary by Copilot instead of just case summary. And you will need to go into your admin center and flip off the old experience and make sure the new one, I think it's going to default on really quick if it hasn't already, but just double check that those settings are the way you want them to be so that the Copilot summary is the one that is on and the other one is off. And then we are going to talk about some forms where we've got some exceptions and some other things. So look at the details of this depending on how you've got your forms set up to know what shows up where sort of natively and how to exclude certain things. So there is some fair amount of technical garb in here, but pay attention to that if you're using that functionality for your customer service reps, as we're now making sure we try to call people. Copilot for Sales has a couple of updates to it, and most of this comes through either third-party insights or saving AI notes or working inside of kind of the Outlook and Teams experiences to increase the functionality. There is one other thing that doesn't get listed in this article that I'm going to quickly talk about, and that is if you are using Salesforce with the Copilot for Sales functionality, that you need to hop into that Copilot for Sales configuration app that is inside of Teams usually, and go look at your Salesforce integration and redo the authentication, because it's going to stop using just the Salesforce Power Platform connector and start using a server-to-server integration to make that integration come to life. And you just have to go in as an admin and just kind of flip that switch so that you're using the new server-to-service capability, which should make it a little faster and more reliable over time. Along with that, we have also gone generally available with the WhatsApp channel in our contact center, the Dynamics 365 contact center, well, I guess that is it. So either Dynamics 365 omnichannel service or the contact center powered by Dynamics 365 that is working with kind of all the other CRMs. So if you are using our contact center capability and you want to enable the WhatsApp channel, it is now fully generally available. So use it at will. And then in that contact center space, we have also released some new functionality related to workforce management. And so with workforce management, this one is kind of helping you forecast case volumes, conversation volumes, and staffing volumes that go along with those other capabilities. So look through some of this, but I'm just going to say, notice there's all kinds of things related to workforce management. There's shift planning, rep schedule calendars, time off requests, shift bidding and swapping, adherence to schedule tracking for managers to understand whether your customer service representatives are adhering to the schedule that you set up and taking their breaks at the appropriate time and logging back in when they're supposed to after those breaks, and all the things that you probably are going to want to know. So with that, I'm going to let you look at those as desired and turn it over to Max to get in and talk about all the other good stuff that's gone on in our platforms.
Perfect. Go ahead and steal the screen share in just a second.
You're live.
Perfect. So first, I'm going to start off as usual with our HR, Retail, Business Central, and Project Ops. On the Retail and Project Ops end, not too many updates there. Plus, I know Dan's covered a good amount in the last few weeks. So wanted to mostly focus, especially when we look at today, Dan's been bringing the latest release waves and going through the deep feature set. So I thought today I would kind of balance that out with a lot of blog posts, try to include a few of our fast track tech talks and a few other little tidbits here and there. So first for today, we have Dynamics Business Central. So there's actually going to be a pricing increase effective October of this year. So for any of our finance and operations customers, you probably are familiar with this. We recently went through with a similar price increase last year, whereas this year we're going to be seeing this on the Business Central side. So one thing just to take a quick look at is going to be all the new features that have been added to Business Central over the last few years. This is definitely not an exhaustive list, but just in case you haven't been too abreast of what's going on, definitely recommend you give this a look. So when we look at the price increases, we just look down here at the table showing our price prior to October 1st and then price after October 1st. While we see the prices going up about $10 or so a month per user, one thing definitely want to call out is the storage component, because not only is the price increasing, but so is our storage entitlement with each license. So as we see in October, we're paying $70 a month, getting 2 gigabytes of storage, whereas in October, we're paying $80, but receiving 3 gigabytes. So in addition to all those increased features that have been added to Business Central over the last few years, we're also going to be seeing some storage entitlement increases as well. Next, we're going to look at a public preview for our recruiting add-on to human resources. So this is a brand new feature set within Power Platform. It's an add-on to our HR module within F&O. There's quite a few cool new features in here for many different things when it comes to HR and recruiting. Namely, what we're going to be seeing going to public preview is 2 main features. The first is our Outlook integrated scheduling. So when you go ahead and create schedules, interviews, panels, anything like that with your candidates, you're going to automatically be able to sync that with Outlook and they can do the same. In addition to that, we also have AI enhanced resume processing. So rather than having to go through all resumes in a manual, one by one, or using some other kind of a third-party tool, we can just do this right now within Dynamics using the AI enhanced resume processing as far as public preview. And just in total, I'd recommend giving this app a look. There's quite a few new recruiting capabilities that we're going to have in here, all the way from creating those positions through to hiring. So really recommend give this a look. Quite a few, a really great tool and a lot of great processes in here. So next, one last piece on HR before we move into finance and supply chain. This is going to be some of our improved compensation and benefits management features that we're seeing move into the HR module. There's 4 key features that we're going to see added. So first is linking variable plan awards and enrollments to positions. Previously, we would have to do things like linking our variable compensation plans just to individual employees. But now we can tie those variable compensation plans to positions, which just from a reporting standpoint aligns a lot better and makes it a lot more easy to maintain the system. Next, we're going to be able to clean up our benefits eligibility process results. So I've been talking with a lot of customers lately, talking on storage. How can we decrease storage? This is a perfect example of ways that we can. There's some tables that are going to create data over time just for caching purposes, but it's not needed from a transactional standpoint. So here, we're going to have a brand new job within the system where we can clean up these transactions or these benefits eligibility process results and remove these from the system so we don't have to worry about it from a storage standpoint. Next, employee start date filtering for benefits eligibility processing. So this is relatively simple, but we're adding a from and a to date on the employment start date of this form and of this report. This way, for when you're going through that eligibility determination, you can determine when those employees have joined the organization or when they left the organization to really narrow down as you're going through this. And then finally, the last piece is going to be My Benefits Plan. So we've already had our employee self-service workspace in the system for a good while. However, we've got a new tile that we're adding in called the My Benefits Plan, where you can go ahead, view elected benefits. You can see your associated dependents, beneficiaries, really just see a lot more detail within that employee self-service workspace. With that, next, let's jump right into...
Max, I'm just going to jump in really quick before we leave that section, and just to let people know, I usually don't have a whole lot of news in this area, but there are updates to the Dataverse solutions for both kind of project for the web, if you will, if you're not using full project operations, and then there's the project if you are using full project operations. So yeah, the project service core and the project operations. So if you are using those, update your solutions. So keep going now.
Oh, much appreciate that call out. Cool. So going back to finance and supply chain, first thing for today is going to be an update to our user license validation. So I believe Dan's talked about this over the last couple sessions. But we've got some increased or coming warnings and validation at the license level within D365. So what that means is that if you have a user who maybe you own the licenses, but it hasn't actually been assigned to that user, when they go and log into the system, in due time, they're going to start to see a warning, and then there's a chance they could be blocked from the system after a certain point. So initially, this was announced to be April 30th is when the warnings were going to be going live. For some of you out there who have been kind of paying attention to this. Initially, it was postponed to May 15th or just yesterday. However, we also pushed out an update this week, letting customers know what's going on. There's some updates to our reporting tools to really help customers out with this whole initiative. And with that, what we've also done is pushed out this timeline. So now, instead, starting September 1st, warnings will start to users will start to see these warnings. And then only November 1st will they potentially get blocked from the system. So this is a delay of about 2 or so months, give or take, on the overall enforcement, and quite a nice delay on the warning piece. So if this is something that you're working on or tackling, hopefully this is some new information that can lead into a pretty good weekend. But definitely you've got a bit more time to work on this, though it is definitely a very high priority. Now, with that in mind, there's a few tools that we're going to be able to utilize when it comes to analyzing the reports coming from F&O, from Power Platform Admin Center, and really dive into the permissions. And those tools are going to be here within our user security governance feature. I know that we've talked about this various times over the last few months, but this is actually some IP that we've acquired from one of our ISV partners and then built it directly into the solution. So this initially went public preview at the beginning of this year in 10.4D3. However, it's going to be going generally available pretty soon now. It's going to be on June 6th. So about 3 weeks out from right now is all going to go GA. Additionally, we have 10.44 that's just gone into preview. So if you want to start playing around with these tools, definitely recommend that you deploy either 43 or 44 to your sandbox environments. At least you can take a backup of your production environment and start poking around before you deploy this to production. Now, if you're not too familiar with that tool or with the feature set overall, or how you can use this for optimizing your security, definitely recommend that you give this Fast Track Tech Talk watch through. So this is going to be a pretty thorough view of what's going on within this overall security governance feature. We've got some reports tied to understanding permissions and license outcomes. We've got the ability to take a task recording, so record a process in the system, feed that within to this tool, and then have it create custom security roles with minimum license requirements for us. We've also got some temporary permissioning where maybe we want an admin to have access to the system just for a temporary time to go ahead and complete one or two activities. So quite a few new features that are going to be available in here. So I recommend you either give this a look, or maybe you're curious on some of these pieces, but maybe not the overall. We've also got, as noted here, quite a few of our Fast Track Tech Talk, I believe they call them Tech Bites. So there's a 4-part Tech Bite series where they focus on individual components within the security governance tool. So if you don't want to give this one a full watch today, you can always give our Tech Bites just a quick view. Next, we have seeing what's next in financial operations at the D365 with D365 at the Gartner CFO and Finance Executive Conference. Mostly wanted to call this out because actually I will be in attendance at this conference. So if there's anybody here that's going to be at this conference, definitely feel free to reach out. We'd love to meet some of our fans. This could be a great conference for anyone on the finance end within your organization to come interact with us at Microsoft, as well as our partners at Gartner, as well as many folks from the partner network, really to be introducing what is going forward within the Dynamics space. And we've actually got quite a few new vignettes and demos that I've been seeing of what we're going to be presenting at the conference. So really excited for that. And yeah, hopefully I'll be seeing a few people there. Next, a new era in business processes, autonomous agents for ERP. Now, I imagine that most people have at least heard or seen something about this. It's not going to focus too much, but we just have a new blog post that really is diving a bit deeper into each of these agent experiences. Now, if you're not familiar, just want to cover from a high level, we've got quite a few new agents being directly embedded into D365. The first is going to be our account reconciliation agent. So it's going to be doing autonomous account reconciliation for us. We've actually got a brand new homepage coming to D365, where right away from the homepage, you can understand what's going on from a reconciliation standpoint, see what's matched, mismatched, and then dive further into details. In addition to that, we also have our supplier communications agent. This is also going to be available in our latest release 10.44. So this is providing us the ability to communicate with our suppliers all from our D365 UI and providing some further insights on what's going on between those supplier relationships and communications behind the scenes. And then finally, we also have our time and expense agent. We'll split out here, but our expense agent will be offering us the capability to extract details from receipts in a more autonomous manner. And then finally, our time entry agent. And then, apologies, the activity approvals agent. So these are all the different agents that are coming into D365. The vast majority of them are coming in 10.44, though I believe a couple of them are going to be coming in 10.45. So if you're interested in playing around with these, go ahead and apply this to one of your sandbox, and you go ahead and test with these right now.
Agents everywhere.
I mean, and now not just agents, but agent to agent.
Right.
So if you're interested in some of those agents, another way that you can go ahead and dive right in is with one of our D365, sorry, it's not Tech Bites, just a D365 bite. So this is one of our bites presented by one of our Fast Track program managers, Haitham Syed, on deploying our financial reconciliation agent in Copilot Studio and Dataverse. So if you're curious on what it's going to look like, if you're maybe wanting to deploy this or not wanting to deploy this right now, but curious what the first few steps are, definitely go ahead and give this a view. And then finally for today, I think I've just got one last piece, and this is also coming from our Fast Track team. So I'm not sure if everybody else has noticed this, but I see that they've redirected a lot of the doc sites for business continuity and disaster recovery. There's really just one shared page now talking about the entire Dynamics and Power platform. So with that, I'm kind of expecting to see some changes in some of the capabilities that are being referenced here in this Fast Track Tech Talk, especially in terms of a lot of the self-service capabilities. So if you're someone that's maybe more on the infrastructure, architecture side, definitely recommend giving this a look out to see what's coming in the future to really enhance our capabilities for high availability and disaster recovery using our BCDR processes. With that, I think that I've covered everything for today. And we've covered a couple solutions down here. Anything else worth calling out?
There's always tons of solutions out there that have been updated. We're on a pretty good cadence on most of them, so pay attention. But I think I've covered everything that I plan to cover for the day too. So thanks for jumping in, Max. It's been a great update, and we'll see everybody in a fortnight.
In a fortnight.